Well, good evening. You're very welcome to round number 15 of Inside Line Racing, ILR6 here at Singapore, the beautiful Singapore, dancing in the midnight here in qualifying. My name is Graham, and I'm going to do my best to bring the action from a very interesting Singapore Grand Prix in store. Should be a very interesting race indeed. Singapore always is a street circuit, a very difficult street circuit, one of the most difficult circuits on the calendar, one that will require concentration and endurance. And if there's any hint of rain, well, good luck with that, because with the rain at Singapore, everything is ramped up in difficulty, but no such hint of rain as it stands. So as Baza, a bit of a scrape on the barrier just before he gets to the final two turns rather, and he starts his final lap. I believe he's the first to start a lap, but as he makes his way around, we can go through the tables right quick. So at the top it is Danskar leading the way on 156 points, and just 7 points behind him in what looks like it's become a two-horse race here for the title, but of course there is a good number of races still left. But Antatak is in second on 149 points, the deficit being just 7 points between the two, and you got Alex then in third, a long way back. I believe he's 70 odd points behind. 65, my apologies. He's on 91 points in third, so that's the difference between the top two and third. And in the constructors, Haas lead the way on 246 points, 41 clear of McLaren in second, and Force India in third, with Red Bull just a few points behind them. 161 points for Force India, 153 for Red Bull in fourth. So one major thing to note heading into this race is that the tire carcass temperatures have been turned off. So this is a track, if you haven't driven Singapore for yourself in a league race, or if you haven't seen a league race or anything of the sort, driven it yourself in long distance, this track with the Hypersofts and Ultras for that matter, the tire temperature goes through the roof extremely quickly. So you have to be so careful, and it's like driving on ice, and I can say that even on a wheel, so let alone a pad. I don't want to even imagine that. So it's off, and we'll see how it is interesting as Baza does a 40.6. It does allow kind of drivers to go kind of flat out in a sense. Like, they obviously still have to worry about tire wear, but the opportunity for these guys to go flat out and not have to worry about temperatures is a unique kind of it's not too common in F1 2018, so interested to see how it all goes there. A couple of reserve drivers to mention, Moosh or Shalosh, I guess you could decide on that, in the Renault. Piet in the Force India is one as well. Boydan in the Force India as well, so two reserves in the Force India. A couple of laps coming through. See if we could pick up someone on the end of a lap. I've missed a few, as Philip, oh dear, can't make his mind between which way he wants to enter the pits. So Plays leads the way with a 36.9. So a couple of guys choosing the Hypersofts to begin here, the likes of Moosh and Boydan, and Alex for that matter, on the softs as Bill as well. How about Apex? The Hypers and Apex just starting his flying lap now. See if you can pick up a car on a lap. Murdoch, I think, is on that. I think he can run a second lap here. See if you can pick up anyone on the way, anyone close to the start finish line. I believe that's Alex going through sector 3. There's a car in front of him. Is that Sir Lane? It is not. Well, it is Baza though. Baza went for a second lap, and he does improve. Runs a bit wide on the last corner, but does improve to 8th place. Alex then in 5th place still. As you expect, a flurry of activity. The drivers on low ERS. Again, this track is a little taxing at times. You do have to manage your ERS. Mr. Crumpet in 5th on the Ultras. Not a bad lap for him so far. How about Biesma? I think that's, or Biesma, not too sure. Still in 11th place. Jacko then on softs crosses the line, and then right behind him in the background you can see the McLaren of Danskar, 36.5. So again, the McLarens just as they were last week, they are the pace setters on the hypers. So interested to see what direction that these guys have headed towards strategy wise. The McLarens look like they're committing to the hyper softs, and the rest behind them, bar Ant and Howitzer, for now happy to set their opening laps on a set of ultras or softs. But I'd imagine as the session ramps up, we will see a little bit more activity in terms of tyre. Of course, no super soft tyre here at Singapore. It is hypers, ultras and softs. Oh, bit of a brush of the barrier just after the Anderson Bridge there for Boydan. And Fernandez is out of qualifying, so 20 drivers. Of course, we had 20 drivers in Spa, and that didn't go too well. And it all started in qualifying, really, didn't it? So we'll see what happens. A bit of traffic. Who's still on a lap? Anyone on a lap? Apex, is he on a lap? Looks like he could be. He's up to 4th on the hypers. So he's one of the few that has actually set another time on the hypers. Murdoch up to 5th place then with that lap. There's of course India behind him, but I don't believe it was an improvement. So not a bad lap at all there for Murdoch on the ultras as well. A very solid time there. It would be interesting to see what he could do on a set of the hypers if he chooses to set one. I have to keep an eye on Sir Lane as well, and Bill. Interested to see how they get on. And I think Charlotte has backed off that one. So most of them have now, to be fair. Philip still hasn't set a time yet. He's just starting a hyper soft run. Piet, not Admiral Piet, but Piet, making his way through Sector 2. Tight and twisting Sector 2 where the old Singapore Sling used to be. Excuse me, can I scroll down please? And he's just exited as Piet and heads towards over the Anderson Bridge and through the tight hairpin and up the Esperanza Drive. I believe he's the furthest on a lap at the moment. Where's Murdoch? Murdoch is, looks like he's still pushing this Murdoch on those ultra softs. You don't want to take too much time. Oh, and he's taken a lot out of that corner, and Murdoch surely can't make an improvement from there. You don't want to take too much out of these tyres early on, because strategy is obviously very key. And well, it was before. Oh, and Philip getting himself all out of shape heading into the hairpin at turn 13, and rejoins the track. So you don't want to get your tyres worked up too much. But to be fair, hyper is more so, because honestly, a set of ultras, I honestly believe you could get a set of ultras from the beginning to the end, and under normal circumstances the tire temperature would be the thing that would kill you. But no such issues here. I think an unstop should be relatively easy for the guys on ultras and softs. I don't know about hypers. I'd assume that hypers to softs would work, but we'll find out, I'm sure, over the next, well, after this qualifying session. Philip is going to finish this lap, and he goes 17th, which is last out of all the cars that have set a lap time. Piet then moved up to 7th after his lap, so not a bad lap at all from Piet. He got his teammate in front of him, I believe he's on an out lap, and a couple more drivers now getting back into the fray. Got Ant on a fresh set of hypers, plays set of hypers. Danskar, same thing, as to be expected, of course, with the guys doing their opening laps on that set of hypers. Got a few sets available to them. See if we can pick up anyone who's on a lap. Pro Opa is just getting ready to start his lap. Daziek still in the pits, and Krumpish is out. Yellow flag in Sector 1. We happen to be on board with a McLaren with plays. Where did he lose? Did he lose it coming out of turn 3? No such luck there. So I'm not sure where Krumpish has lost that, but he's out and won't be going any higher than 8th place in this qualifying session, as the majority of the field has now switched from softs to ultras. Those who of course set their times on the softs on their banker, they've now switched to ultras. 6.5 minutes left of this session, and Ant attack as he come around the final 2 corners. Make or break in your lap if you don't get it right, and it goes provisional pole. 36-1 for Ant attack, puts him ahead of the pack for the time being. The two McLarens on their laps. Danskar getting ready for his. I think Plays a little bit further ahead on his. You could pick up anyone else on a lap. Alex still in the pits. Sir Lane just beginning his lap. Bill is coming close to the end of sector 3 as he makes his way through turns 16 and 17. And misses the apex on 18. That's compromised his lap a good bit. The Haas man, his team leading the constructors at the moment, needs strong results to continue that trend. What can he do here? Misses the apex slightly on that one as well. And no, not an improvement on that lap. Stays in 11th place. Where are the McLarens? Plays couldn't improve on that time. 37 flat that time for Plays. His teammate is making his way through just after the second sector. And Ant looks like he's going for another run on those hypers, so Ant feeling confident. Saw someone just cross the line there. Pro Opa 40.8, 17th for the moment. There's a car off the track, and that's Philip into the wall. Where even is that? That's at the hairpin again. He's made a mess of it. And Boyden there, I just saw some activity there. Boyden then moves up to 12th on soft, so not a bad lap there from Boyden, to be fair. On those 3-lap old softs. Oh, Bill is out! Oh, it just caught the end of that accident. He must have hit the barrier on his way out. You could just see there the car and the wheel pop up just as he was heading towards the exit there. But here comes Sir Lane then. Sir Lane, 3rd place for Sir Lane on a Sev Ultras. That's a good time for Sir Lane. Puts him in a good spot. But what about Danskar then, the championship leader? Beautiful apex there on the second to last corner, and he's a first man into the 35s at 1:35.994 for Danskar. The championship leader has responded to Ant attack, and by a margin of just over a tenth and a bit. Howitzer can't find an improvement on his lap. He is in 7th for the time being. See if you can pick up another car somewhere along the road. I believe Sir Lane is heading for another lap. Is he? Is he on another lap? He makes his way through where the old Singapore sling was. And towards turn 13. Over the Anderson Bridge he goes, and the hairpin of 13. A difficult place to make an overtake. An easy place to mess up as well, as we've seen so far in this session. 3.5 minutes remaining here in Singapore for qualifying. I've got a couple more retirements now, but still 15 odd cars still taking place in this session. That at the moment is being topped by Danskar. Sir Lane, I think, is on another lap, and if he makes an improvement, it would be, well, sorry, his pace is already foreshadowing, I think, what could be the trend in this race. Could be the fastest one here. Let's find out. Can he improve? I think he will. Oh, he does. 35.8 on a set of ultras, and that truly is laying down the gauntlet. So that's a big lap from Sir Lane on the ultra softs, going at a tenth and a half quicker than the quickest on the hyper softs. That I think will send some chills down some spines around ILR6. Anyone on a lap? I keep on saying Biesma. We'll go with that. Apologies if I butcher the name, but I'm going to say Biesma for the sake of it. The man in the Alfa Romeo Sauber. Just struggling with a little bit of downforce there, it looks like. Just the car not just pointing in the right direction. It's not changing direction quick enough for his liking. And it's not an improvement at 40.4, so he seems to be really struggling with downforce and change of direction in that Sauber, and it's affecting sector 3 for sure. What about Alex then on the ultras now? It goes up to 5th place, 37.3 for Alex. Puts himself into the top 5. Just knocking him outside of it is Apex. Well, I'll try not to jinx this week as I did last week. Looks like he's on a lap on the hyper softs. Murdoch has fit a set of softs on his car, hasn't come out of course, but interesting choice there. I think actually he's content to sit in the pits, because at this stage, if you haven't left the pits, that's it. You're not going to get another lap done now at this stage. So quite a number of cars are in the pits. So the likes of Sir Lane, Danskar, they're finished for this session. Murdoch, same thing. The guys on their outlaps now are the ones who will get one more crack at it. See if you can pick up anyone near the end of a lap. Jacko is near the end of a lap, so we'll go on board with Jacko. In the Ferrari, makes his way towards turn 22 and 23. Oh, butchers it slightly. And I think he is just starting a lap. 40.9 is his quickest time. You were hoping for a quicker time than that. So probe, I think it's so there's a car heading out, but I think it's too late. It's way too late to make any improvements. Anyone on a lap, and getting ready for his final flying lap on a fresh set of hypers. His third set of hypers, burning through these bad boys quickly. So let's see then. Piet, I think, will Piet be the first one to cross the line with the checkered flag? I believe he will be. So we'll go on, we'll find the Force India as the checkered flag is now dropped. Here we go then, this is the end of qualifying. Piet does not improve on his time. 38.5 for Piet. There's a McLaren in front. Is that Danskar? No, it's Plays, and Plays can't find an improvement either. Shalosh goes up to 4th, shooting up to 4th there. His teammates making his way through the final sector. There's the rest of them. Oh, Jacko is out. Philip approaching the final 2 corners. What can he do? He can't find an improvement in position. Antitech looks like he's still on his lap, or has he bailed? Apex looks like he's quicker than his previous laps. Moves up to 6th place. 37.2, and I think, oh, he's lost part of his front wing, so that will certainly do it for Ant. Didn't get a chance to set another flying lap on those hypers, and he will have to be content with 3rd place behind his championship rival Danskar in 2nd place. And then the pick of the bunch, Sir Lane, 35.8 on ultras. I have no doubt, I think he might run away with this race if all goes to plan. We shall see though. A very long race, and I've heard whispers of rain, so we'll see. As Ant will pull into the pits, and that should conclude qualifying here at Singapore. So all we have to do is simply wait, and then we'll be good to go. Any day now? Come on, can we please? I mean, let's just watch a few cars drive around, sure, why not? There we go, finally we are set. Beautiful. Right, if we can get down to the rundown of the grid. It is Sir Lane in pole position with those ultras off. Danskar 2nd and 3rd. Shalosh in 4th, also on ultras, good lap from him. Plays in 5th, Apex in 6th, Alex 7th, Boyden in 8th, Murdoch 9th, Howitzer falls 10th there in the end, Baza 11th, Piet 12th, Crumpet 13th, Bill 14th, Pro Up at 15th, Biesma 16th, Philip 17th, Jacko 18th, Daziek 19th, and Fernandez then rounding out the grid in 20th. So Baza then leaping ahead of Piet there near at the end there to move into 11th place. So we'll see how he gets on. And the weather, I believe, is dry to begin, so we shall see if it stays that way through the course. I believe it's 31 laps, 31 long laps, ever longer in the rain, if that is the case. But we are starting off dry here, at least for the time being. Nice clear night in Singapore. Drivers then selecting their strategies. I can't imagine there's too much to decide upon if you're on ultras. Hypers, perhaps maybe something to do there as well. Hypers, generally speaking, beforehand, with carcass temperatures fade very, very quickly. So I think a lot of people are in uncharted territory when it comes to what to expect from the tyres now that the carcass temperatures are off for this race. But we are good to go then. And of course the formation lap will take place, and we can see that the strategies that have been elected through qualifying and of course now in the race. So as mentioned, Shalosh, Sirlane, Alex, Boyden, Murdoch in the top 10 on the Ultrasoft. Outside the top 10 on Ultras is in the majority of the field. Piet, Crumpet, Bill, Proopa, Biesma, Philip, Daziek and Fernandez electing to start on the Ultras outside the top 10, and just the two soft runners, Jacko in 18th, nothing to lose there, and a bold one from Baza to go with softs from 11th. He's going to be quite vulnerable at the start, given that the softer the tyre, the more grip you have to burn off the starting line, and well, given that the compound are 2 steps softer between these two cars, between the bunch of cars behind Baza, it'll be interesting to see how he fares off the line. His one saving grace is that it's a short run down towards turn 1. 31 laps await. How it's a grueling one, it's a long one, and if you make a mistake, this track will punish you. It's easy to pick up penalties here as well, so one of the most difficult races on the calendar. We'll see who responds to it. Am I expecting DNFs? Yes, a few, certainly a few, but we shall see how it goes. I can only imagine it will go better than Belgium. Hopefully for some good battles as well. It can be a difficult track to overtake this. If you're running more straight line speed, it is a difficult one. You really need to be having just an excess amount of pace to the car you're racing, whether it be to the car in front of you, or a significant tyre advantage. Or if you happen to be running less front wing than your opponents, then that might help as well. Other than that, it's a difficult one to overtake, but we'll find out for sure with ILR6 as they all line up on the grid. Sirlane is stationary in his spot. Fernandez just coming up now to turn 22. Sharp pit lane exit as well, or entry and exit for that matter. I'm sure it will catch somebody out. As all in due course, I'm sure we'll have a few visitors there by the end of the first lap, but let's find out for sure. Sirlane leading from the front. We'll go on board with Ant for the start of this Singapore Grand Prix. We've got the lights igniting now, 4 and 5, and away we go. Nice quick start there, decent start. First lane he's going to be covered off, and Ant looking at Dan's car as well. They're around the outside, nothing doing off the track of it. Oh, there's a little bit of contact with a Shalosh. Not sure if he got involved with his teammate there, but they all seem to be fighting through somewhat okay. Oh, there's absolute carnage behind though. As I say that, there's definitely a front wing got missing. We can try and catch up with the front here. Got Alex and Shalosh and Apex as well, battling for 5th place down the field. Let's try and get on board with one of these cars. Here we go. There's Jacko. You can see Apex in front, Baza, Murdoch, Boyden, all in such close proximity. We'll go on board with Jacko as Murdoch and Boyden. Murdoch down the inside. The contact there. Oh, there's a Mercedes in the wall. It is, or it's Williams, it's Howitzer. So Howitzer already into the barrier. Not the start he would have wanted. A nice scrap though emerging. And Biesma is out of the race. Will that bring out a safety car? Oh, there's damage at the back. Is that Bill? Yes, that's Bill hitting the back of Mr. Crumpet. And his front wing has gone flying. Can't imagine. There's a lot of front. Look at that. So Murdoch's got damage. I think Boyden's got damage as well. Apex looks like he has survived, as has Alex, and that's why I think they're pulling away slightly from the cars behind them. And you see Bill damage that front wing. Proopa looks like he's got a decent start in 12th place early on at the front. Quickly catch up. Sirlane still leading the way against Dan's car. Ant plays, and Shalosh. There's a bit of a gap then towards Alex. There's Apex, and there's a further gap with the field spreading out a bit down below, as some have got sustained wing damage. And we'll see who files into the pits then after this first lap. That's Sirlane leads, yellow flag in sector 3. Not sure who's that for. But a couple of guys are going to continue on with despite the damage. And will anyone pit? Oh, tough one for Daziek. He's lost his wing and he will pit. We've got Bill and Crumpet tussling their way. Damaged both of these cars are. And have to try not to pick up the rest in the process. Propa trying to keep a careful eye. But at the moment, Crumpet holds on to that position ahead of Bill. We got Danskar very, very much under attack from Antwerp and unable to get the move done this time. We got Shalosh very, very close to Plays as well. And Bill on the outside. Crumpet got the inside, but Bill has got the outside line. And a bit of a corner cut from Crumpet there. Will he retake the position? A bit of a debatable overtake there. Oh, but he's made contact with the wall as Bill. And Pro has to be so careful not to get damage, and he almost went right into that Ferrari. But luckily, he has saved himself from a lot of harm as these two Ferrari-powered cars in front of him, Bill and Mr. Crumpet, tussling out with damaged wings. Very, very risky business around Singapore. Meanwhile, Plays and Danskar, the two title contenders, fighting and scrapping their way, and Ant Attack comes out on top, moves up into second place. So early punches blown from Ant. Oh, and Danskar's gone straight on, and he's completely missed the corner and he's missed the barrier, but has lost a lot of positions in the process. And I suppose he can be thankful for that it was just that, a few lost positions. But he's really struggling, the back end stepping out all the time there. Will he come into the pits to change those tyres? No, not yet. Meanwhile, Shalosh looking to attack his teammate Plays. Danskar's teammate rather, down the inside he goes. And sneaking through, has he moved up into third then? He has, but a much better exit for Plays on the Renault, and he's got the Haas and the teammate of Shalosh behind him in close proximity as well. We'll go on board. A much better run. DRS has been enabled, of course. Jacko into the pits as well as Philip, but looking around the outside and then the inside and the race line. Oh, he's come across him in the zone, and Plays has got wing damage. So having lost the position, he's then run into the back. It was quite a sharp move by Shalosh onto the brake, into the braking zone, or onto the braking line rather, take up the racing line into that next corner. It was quite sharp, and well, now he's paying the price is Plays. So he's lost the podium position, and he's lost a lot more than that now. So not a good lap for the McLaren team, with Danskar losing a lot of positions after that mistake, and then Plays running into the back of Shalosh. And surely Alex, if he wants him to get this move done as soon as possible, he will surely know that the damage has been sustained, and it's only a matter of time surely before he Plays just falls further and further back. But I guess the one saving grace for Plays that he is on ultra hypers, and this wouldn't hurt as much if he was on, say, the softs or the ultra softs. So hyper softs, you could ditch those early enough and you could still make this race work. But if you were on softs, for example, like a few cars were, then this really hasn't worked out, because no one's on softs at the moment. But he does come in, does Plays, and he's early on the limiter there. He comes into the pits then. What will he decide to put on? As we've lost Philip now as well, so two casualties early on, only lap 4 of this race. And what is he gone for? A set of ultra softs. So ultra softs for Plays. A lot of drivers have chosen ultra softs, to be fair, on their pit stops. Jacko, we know, starting on softs. He's gone to ultras now. Has to try and make those last toward the end of the race. Crumpet has decided to go take the plunge on softs, and they should easily go to the end of the race. May not be pretty, and they'll certainly be quite slow compared to the ultras, but they'll certainly go to the end if, of course, he can avoid damage himself. So the field has spread out quite a bit. They're at the front. Sir Lane leads by 3 seconds over Ant Attack, who just needs to stay where he is at this stage, and he's looking good for a good number of points over his title contender. Shalosh 2.4 seconds behind that. Alex a little bit behind that. And this is when the things begin to pick up a bit. Apex in 5th, just out of DRS range of Alex. Boyden 6th, Danskar 7th, and Murdoch then in 8th. After that, it's fairly well spread. So at the moment, lap 4, it's well, hopefully things will close up again. But for now, we do have a little bit of a battle for P5. And of course, the hypers on Apex, just losing the back end there. and just seems to be struggling as Sirlane has got disconnected. So that's a big one there, and Ant is in to replace those hypers rather. This is a scheduled stop, it seems. No, that wing damage on that Red Bull, and a set of ultra softs going on to that Red Bull. Now where will he pop out? It's a long pit lane, this one, a very long one. And how quickly is Shalosh catching up to Sirlane? Pretty quickly. Ant then will pop out in a comfortable P11. So we'll have some clear space, at least for the time being. Piet is just a few seconds up the road. So, and again, I do have extreme confidence that those ultras could go to the end of the race. But we'll find out. We've got 26 odd laps to do so, as Danskar trying to make up for his mistake earlier on, looking to attack Boyden in P5 to force India, trying to make up places now. And Fernandez, who we just mentioned, that has popped ahead, Ant popped ahead of him, has retired. And where has he done this? It's coming out. Oh, he's just... Oh, it's upside down. That car is upside down. Oh, I have to see this again. Wow. That is quite remarkable how that has happened, because I'm pretty sure he's on his own as well. Because we just mentioned that he just came out, he was behind Ant. That is insane. Sirlane has rejoined, but he's lost out 2 positions and around 5 or so seconds to Shalosh in first. And he's just in within DRS range of Alex, and we've got a disconnected Mercedes of Murdoch, and that's why Bill is through, and Jacko is out now as well, so it's all kicking off. Alex and Danskar both dove into the pits. I want to say Divin, but of course it is dove. So they replace those hypersofts, and let's see what they put on. Nice pit crew there for the McLaren boys. Ultra softs for both cars, it seems. And where will they emerge? Where's Ant? Ant is just coming through turn 1 as Play sets the fastest lap of the race. So Apex and Danskar looks like they've come out. Oh, Danskar has just come out behind his teammate, having just set the fastest lap of the race. So 12th place for Danskar, and Apex then in 10th, but we'll have to avoid scrapes at the barrier like that. So here comes Pro Open then to make a move on the Ghost of Murdoch, and there you go. That's a shame for Murdoch. He was running quite well in this race, and now has lost out on some positions here, but if he can get back in his car, can limit his losses. The sooner the better. Meanwhile, Sirlane trying to make up for lost time. That's a really poor run for Alex, heading down that corner, and Sirlane pops through and retakes 2nd place. Now he's got to make up 4.4 seconds on Shalosh in first. Not impossible by any means, but it's just made his afternoon a little less straightforward than it would have been from pole position, so he'll have some work to do then. So it's lap 7. Everyone has ditched the hypersofts at this stage. Everyone's on either ultras or softs, and that I thought was more wing damage, I think, for Murdoch. So it's not gone too well for him, even as his car is ghosted and crawling his way through. So where does that leave us then? So Ant is the highest runner who's made a stop in 7th place. Murdoch, Piet yet to make a stop. Everyone else has made a stop, as Piet then does dive in. Everyone else below that rather has yet to make a stop. Of course, the top 6 have all yet to make a stop as of yet. And in terms of position change, well, Bill has done quite well, as has Pro Opa, as we mentioned earlier, but of course they have yet to pit. So it'll be interesting to see how they pop out of the pits, where they will be. We've got Danskar still behind his teammate. Interesting to see how they handle this, and as I say that, Plays lets his teammate and title contender go. So that releases Danskar into 10th, and he'll pop up into 9th, with the Ghost of Murdoch still trundling around. And his teammate, meanwhile, Baza, gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple corner cutting warnings. So not gone too well for the Mercedes outfit so far. Meanwhile, Ant stuck behind the sister Toro Rosso. Pro Opa, he's got to get this move done as quick as he can. If he's fighting for the win here today, he needs to clear traffic, he needs to be able to clear traffic. And the longer is a tough part of the racetrack to be stuck behind, and he can't be affording mistakes like that, running into the back of another car. That would certainly hinder any hopes of a good result if he damages that front wing, but it's difficult when you're up against a car just a little bit slower than you on the track. So how will he handle this one then? I think out of turns 22 and 23, gets a very wide exit, and with DRS, can he get the move done heading into turn 1? I think he could go for a dive, will he? Oh, thought about it, but it was covered by Pro Opa. But he's got to get this move done sooner rather than later. The longer he leaves it, the more time he loses. Excuse me, as he gets a good run, and with DRS will surely get this move done. Pro Opa pulls over to the left hand side, almost into the barrier, and he's going to try and fight this one again. Oh, there's been a little bit of contact been made between the two, and to still have the inside line. Late braking, can he get it done? Pro Opa will have the racing line, and will he hang it down the inside? He will try and hop over the curves to do so. A wiggle on the back end, and is through up into P6. And just as well he cleared that, because I tell you what, he lost about 2.5-3 seconds to Apex behind. And oh, it's Pro Opa. I thought he ran into the wall there for a second and damaged that wing, but this would be absolutely golden for Apex if he can clear Pro Opa before the end of this straight. Will he be able to do so? No, critically he has not. You have to hope for a mistake or just burnt tyres, it looks like, on that Toro Rosso. Can he do what Ant couldn't do and overtake in sector 3? Yes, he can. So that's critical for Apex to clear that Toro Rosso, and overall he's made a net gain out of this little situation here. Meanwhile, at the front here in P2, Sir Lane hasn't really been able to catch up to Charlotte as of yet, and I thought he may have been able to drop Alex when he overtook him, but it hasn't been the case. And Alex now looking to make an overtake to take back that second place, heading towards turn 7, and he gets the move done. So Alex then moving back into P2. I thought Sir Lane may be able to drive away from him when he got that move done to get P2 in the first place, but Sir Lane hasn't been able to do so, and he's lost out to Alex, and now his task has just grown that little bit harder, and into P3 he falls, but he's got a nice little cushion to Boyden in fourth, who's having a very lonely race, I have to say, in fourth place for now anyways. Of course he's yet to make a stop. 8 seconds ahead of, oh, and Alex, oh, he's facing the wrong way. He has had an accident coming out of turn 13 and has damaged his wing. Boyden has to swerve to avoid it, and the U-turn hasn't gone too well either. So having just overtaken Alex, I don't know, Sir Lane, I don't know if there's an incident between the two that would have caused him to be facing the wrong way round, but Alex is limping. He'll have to limp back to the pits. His teammate Bill will overtake him before he gets there, and that's a big blow for Alex, as Plays and Pro Opa side by side. And filing in then is Pro Opa, and there you go then, the two Haas's switch. Plays then into 9th. Pro Opa fallen a bit now, really struggling on these ultras it seems. He's now fallen down into 10th place, but has some cushion between himself and Baza. Oh, but as I say that, he's just retired. Oh, I chose the wrong time to go away, as Bill sped into the pit lane. Have both Haas's come in? Oh, that's disastrous timing. Oh, that's where Pro Opa has been into the barrier where Danny Ricciardo did it in the Toro Rosso. So this is absolutely disastrous for Alex, his teammate. Oh, so very poor communication there. I'm guessing they're not in the party together. If they were, surely they would have known that Alex was limping with no front wing, and his race has gone from bad to worse. So that's not good for Alex. Somewhere along the way though, Apex has overtaken Danskar for 5th place. So before the whole Pro Opa thing, Danskar was 4 seconds ahead of Apex, and now Apex has overtaken him, gained a few seconds through traffic that Danskar had to deal with in the form of Pro Opa, and now is behind the Renault. So Ant is looking quite good here. Ant is looking very nice indeed. Be interested to see where he pops out compared to Charlotte. He lost a bit of time obviously in traffic. Oh, and Plays are just... Oh, it's beginning to get tough out there, as Plays is the latest driver in considerable point scoring position to have an accident, and again it's in sector 2, and again it's another front wing that will need replacing. So not a good day for the McLaren, for the constructors, with this with now Plays being forced to make another stop, an unscheduled pit stop to replace that front wing, and you have to put on, I'd imagine, softs. I'm not sure if he's got another set of ultras available to him. Meanwhile, at the front, 5.3 seconds the gap between Charlotte and Sirlane. They're the only two. Well, Murdoch's yet to make a stop, but of course he's a ghost. Top 3, the only ones yet to make a pit stop as of yet. How far can these ultra softs go? Well, very far, I'd imagine, but when is the best time to replace them? Will they go on to a set of hypers, or will they go for a set of softs? So we'll find out. But Baza then, as Plays does come into the pits, which is the reason for Baza's gain into 7th place. As Ant, look at Apex is showing some great pace here at this phase of the race. He's dragging Danskar with him, but they've both caught up now to the back of Ant. And I believe this is a battle for effective P2 or 3. I want to say 3 more so than 2 for now. A long way yet to go in this race. We're only on lap 11 of 31, so this is a tough one. But some battles begin to emerge here as Apex and Danskar have caught the back of that Red Bull in that DRS range. If they can clear him, that would be huge in the context of this race. Still not sure how it's all going to unfold at the front here, as Charlotte then is diving into the pits, and Sirlane, will carry on. So then the race leader into the pits. I'm assuming he's going to put on a set of soft compound tyres that will go to the end of this race, and there they are, complementing that banana car very nicely indeed. And away he goes. Boyden carries on as well. So I do wonder if the top 2 may be hoping to hang it out for a set of hypers. I will admit I'm unsure if you can do that with the regulations, if it will allow you to do ultras, qualifying ultras to race soft, or hypers rather. We'll find out, I suppose, as the 3rd, 4th and 5th separated by just a second, all slipstreaming each other basically, and Ant with enough straight line speed to keep himself safe from the DRS of Apex, at least for the time being. Beautiful helicopter shot, lights flashing in the Singapore darkness. Field is spread out bar this battle here, at least for the time being, until another round of pit stops are made. It just seems like Apex isn't able to get quite close enough to Ant to any of the major areas. Meanwhile, I think that is Daziak, the last car getting by Murdoch's Ghost, which dives into the pits sadly. It's unfortunate that he hasn't been able to get back into the fray, having been running in the top 6. So that's unfortunate for Murdoch and the Mercedes team. And Sirlane then peels into the pit lane, and he's going to respond then to what Charlotte did the lap before. And interesting to see what she will do. I'd imagine a soft to go onto that car. Boyden carries on then, and he inherits the race lead. Soft compound tyres being fitted onto that Toro Rosso. Then where will he feed out then? Ant, Apex, Danskar will all go by. Where will he feed out to Charlotte? I think he will feed out behind the Renault, and indeed he does. And he'll feed out a long way in front of Baza, who's just making his way through sector 3 still. So top 6 in a class of their own today. It'll be interesting to see where Boyden ends up in amidst that as well. He will emerge ahead of Baza when the time comes to make his stop, but when that will be, we do not know. Can Sirlane make up the ground lost to the likes of Danskar, Apex and Ant, of course, on the softer, much softer ultra soft tyre? It's a long, long stint. Excuse me, it is a long old stint, so interesting to see how it'll all unfold. I guess we just simply have to wait, basically. Try and keep an eye on the times between Charlotte and Danskar, and then Sirlane as well, and see where it all feeds out. They are definitely closing on the Force India of Boyden, and we've got a Crumpet and Alex again renewing rivalries. Oh, there's been an accident, and into the barrier Alex goes. Crumpet looks like he's avoided, at least facing the wrong direction, but he's got wing damage as well, so not good news there. As we want Danskar and Apex, and Danskar has moved back ahead of Apex, back up into third, as Boyden peels into the pit lane to make his stop. There he goes, and Ant then inherits the lead once again, so Danskar taking that place back from Apex, moves back into second place, and the two title rivals running 1 and 2 as things stand, but I'm sure Shalash and Sirlane will have something to say about that. Just 3 seconds between Shalash and Apex, and then Sirlane a further 3 seconds behind that, as PS gets by Plays. Sorry, Plays gets by PS the other way round, moves up into P10. Boyden then is just ahead of Baza, but of course Baza's got ancient tyres, and so won't be able to sustain a charge for too long, if at all. Lap 14, yellow flag in sector 3. Oh, as Alex trying to get himself back up to speed. I think he had knocked himself round as Crumpet pits, and I'm sure Alex then will follow suit. Meanwhile, Danskar looks like he's got a lot more pace at this phase of the race than Ant. He's caught back up to the back of that Red Bull. We've got a nice battle here for the lead of this race, at least before the soft runners come into play. It shouldn't be too long, you'd imagine, as we just get closer and closer towards half distance on this race. Lap 14 of 31. Still a lot to be decided here yet. Just only 5 retirements so far, which I'm pleasantly surprised by. I would have thought, given the nature of the track, we'd see a bit more, but I'm sure there will be a few more for the end of this race. So then, he's been on the move the last few laps, has Danskar. He's got by Apex, he's been closing up to the back of Ant, and this surely marks his best opportunity. Surely coming out of turn 5 up Raffles Boulevard, and with the DRS enabled down that straight, surely if he gets a good run out of turn 5, he will stand a good chance. Surely he dips into the slipstream, DRS is open and defends the line. Is that enough though? Danskar's going to drive around the outside anyway and takes the lead of the race. So Danskar then moving ahead of his championship rival and moves up into second place. His tyres are a few laps younger as Crumpet retires from this race somewhere along the way. Not too sure where. Oh, I thought we saw a car having a little accident of its own. It is Piet, and he's going to have to come in and replace those that wing. And I think Plays has had some sort of accident as well, because he's got damage on that car as well. I'm not sure if it was the same accident. I only had a split second to see it there as it was happening. I think it may have been, you know, because I thought I did see a flash of orange having a little skid. Not too sure though. But regardless, the other McLaren is still leading this race. 5 tenths ahead of Ant, 8 tenths ahead of Apex, and Sirlane is catching Charlotte, you know, 1.5 seconds. The gap hasn't been coming down massively between Apex and Charlotte, but it's definitely been coming down between Sirlane and Charlotte. It was around 4 or so seconds when he emerged from the pits. Now it's only 1.2. So is Sirlane the best option? Has he got the best chance to challenge for the race win on those softs compared to Charlotte? Well, he's closing up, and at the front, this is a very critical point of the race, I think, for Danskar. If he can just get some sort of separation between himself and Ant. I think he has broke DRS range as well, so that's very, very important for him, and that's bad news for Ant, because that will just help Apex just hang on to the back of him. Even though he can't get close to an overtake, it just keeps him there, and that looming threat is always there. Meanwhile, I'd imagine we'll be seeing a change for P7 very, very soon, as Bill closes up to the back of Baza, who's gone. He's on 14 lap old ultras. He's done well to get those tyres 14 laps, but not the healthiest set of tyres, and I believe he will make things relatively straightforward heading down the straight. Oh, he defends it though, keeps his car parked in the middle of the track. I don't think Bill was expecting that whatsoever, and for the moment, as he goes for a lunge, he's defending this one for everything he can, has Baza, and to be fair, he has kept the position, and Bill has to wait a little bit longer to get by that Mercedes. Meanwhile, Sirlane, I think there must be some sort of damage that we can't see on Shalat's car for whatever reason. He's just struggling very, very much on these softs, and it's definitely Sirlane who's got the upper hand now in this stint compared to the last. Sirlane couldn't make much of an impression on Shalat in the first stint after he obviously disconnected and fell behind the Renault, but now on this stint something is clicking, at least for Sirlane and not for Shalat, and now he gets set off after a move. But look at Bill struggling to get by that Mercedes. Oh, I thought he was going to make contact there with the back of that Merc. Just has to wait that a little bit longer. Will Baza peel into the pits though before he gets a chance to make a move? Really, really shuttle the back end. Stepping out. Oh, look, a hop across the curb and contact between the two. Somehow, that's a great save from Baza. He somehow saved that. I have no idea how that car just literally popped up off the ground and he's left the session. Not sure if a disconnect or a rage quit, but looked like mad stuff indeed. It could have been lag, to be fair, but it didn't look like it. So a very interesting little accident there. It does move Bill up ahead of Baza then into 7th, and he can look to get after Boyden, but of course Boyden, as we know, has got the fresher softs, the last of the front runners to pit on his ultras and onto those softs. So then this battle for P4 still enrages at the front, and has crept back within DRS range of Ant, but hasn't been able to shake it off of Apex quite yet. And to be fair, I think they are. This group is closing towards the top 3. The gap is 2.3 seconds now, and if Sirlane were to be released of Shalat, it would be make things very interesting indeed. So I think Sirlane looking in a good spot for this race. But of course we've crept over half distance, and Danskar has come into the pits. So these guys have been losing more and more time, and the Ultrasoft not proving as durable as it seems for some of these guys. Another set of Ultras going on to that McLaren. So you'll emerge then in 5th place still, as Ant then takes over the lead, just 0.6 ahead of Apex, and Shalat 2 seconds behind that. And of course, as we mentioned, Sirlane behind that. That's going to be interesting. Does that force Apex and into a situation? Oh, Ant has had enough. And the tyre has gone 1 lap too many. Was it just a mistake? Ant, the race leader, after Danskar just pitted, has had a collision with the wall and has lost part of his front wing. Now has to limp back to the pits, while his adversary, his rival, pumps the times in on the soft, the fresh ultra soft, and that's a big blow for Ant. Big blow. Meanwhile, the top 3 then have all moved within a second of each other, as Shalat has come to the back of Apex. Bata then is finally into the pits. Of course, I believe, did he rejoin? He has rejoined, so he heads into the pits then and rejoined back in his car, unlike his teammate not able to get back into the fray. So then what does Apex do then? Oh, he's responding. The back end stepping out here, there, everywhere, and Apex is coming into the pits, and he will ditch those ultras, and Boyden's disconnected now as well. So a ton of disconnects happening here tonight in ILR6. So that relieves Shalat and Sirlane to renew their battle, and Ant now is in as well. So where will Danskar then emerge? How far ahead will he emerge? Oh, he's jumped these considerably. Look how much time he has gained in that one lap. So an inspired move by Danskar, and he is miles in front of Apex. 6 seconds, 7 seconds will that creep up to? Close enough. So that, I think that was one lap of undercut as well, so that just shows you what an undercut can do from ultras. Then that's an interesting one indeed. So then he's 17 seconds behind Sir Lane, and just 1.4 then further that is the race leader. We'll have to keep an eye on the lap times, because it'll be interesting to see what Danskar can do, because we've got, look, it's a long lap here as Boyden is lost position, of course, hasn't been able to get back into his car yet, and Bill was up to 5th. It's going to be interesting to see how much per lap Danskar can make on Sir Lane. We'll have to wait and see for actually, well, because Danskar's already made a stop, so we can get a good indication then of what we're working with in terms of lap times between the softs and a set of fresh ultras rather. So then the gap then is 1.1 to the front, a 42 flat for Sir Lane that lap. We'll have to remember that. 42 flat for the Toro Rosso as Danskar makes his way through the final 2 corners. 42 flat for Sir Lane, a 40.1 for Danskar, so he almost took 2 seconds out of Sir Lane that lap. If he can continue that rate of what's the word I'm looking for? If you can continue to slice into the gap at that rate each lap, it'd be very interesting to see where Danskar will end up in this race. But I can't imagine the ultras will give him that much performance for that long compared to the softs. So you will get closer, I think, and I think he definitely will bring the gap under 10 seconds. But how much further can he do it after that? And when he does get close to, if he can get close to Sir Lane, can he do anything about it with the tyres? As Ant gets by Boyden as well. So a shame for Boyden. He was doing very well for himself, but it's just dropped back in the fray. Obviously with disconnected, and he's losing more and more positions. So that's a shame for him. And the field really has spread out now. It is really literally just watching these two at the front, Shalosh and Sir Lane. Sir Lane did catch up to within DRS of that Renault, but has just drifted back out of it ever since. And Sir Lane is coming in to make a stop, so a very interesting call here from the Toro Rosso. Decided for whatever reason that his best chance is to change tyres, it seems. And well, no wing. Oh, he is changing the front wing. Okay, so there was damage on that car, and decided that possibly he was going to lose that position regardless then to Danskar, and is coming to bite the bullet and is replacing those softs and putting on a set of ultras. So a front wing change for Sir Lane, and he's going to come out behind Bill as well, it seems. Oh, it's going to be close actually, very very close. I think Bill's going to get it though, just based on speed differential heading through turn 1. Of course Sir Lane still getting up to speed heading out of the pits, whereas Bill taking it at racing speed, of course continuing from the lap before, so that leads Bill into 4th, but with 11 lap old softs compared to fresh ultras, I think this will be a very quick move indeed. If Sir Lane could get this done sooner the better, and he does indeed, and takes back that 4th place instantly. And now 13 seconds he's to make up between himself and Apex. Here's the thing, they were relatively close to each other on track, but Apex with a couple laps on those ultras, look at the gap he's gained out over Sir Lane. So the undercut here is absolutely deadly. And was that an inspired move by Danskar, because he was the first of the bunch to come in and make that stop, scheduled stop. Of course we know Ant had to make his stop unscheduled with that wing change. So looks like an inspired decision. Now what does Shalosh do? I think if you're Shalosh, you got to carry on. I think if the tyres are with you, you've got to carry on, because at this stage if you pit, you will fall behind every one of these cars. Whereas if you keep going, there's a chance that IndyCar will run out of laps and run out of tyre life to catch up to you. So I think that is Charlotte's best hope. But if you're Sir Lane, and these softs can go to the end on Charlotte, was the wing damage that severe as to warrant coming in? Because it's a long pit lane here. You lose a lot of time in the pit lane. You're close to 40 seconds as Plays then moves by Boyden then into 7th. So an interesting choice there for sure. We'll have to see if it pays off. I think Charlotte will have to go to the end. If you're going for the win, you go to the end. Flag in sector 1. Oh, Boyden's joined back into his car. Okay, that's good to see. He's lost a lot of time and a lot of positions, but he is back into that car. And I think he should be able to catch Play soon. 1.8 seconds between the two. Of course, we just saw Plays overtake the ghost of Boyden. So we shall see. Lap 22 of 31. Charlotte leading the way, and is going to carry on. So I think he's committed to at this stage. May as well. Any hint? Sir Lane has actually taken some sting off of that gap, but still 12 seconds to make it less than 10 laps on a car that is running just 2 lap older ultras. It's a lot to ask, it's a lot to make up, but let's see if Sir Lane's up to the task. Meanwhile, down in 10th, fighting for the last point, Piet is come to the back of Alex. Alex had an absolute nightmare, race so far. That has seen him do at least 2 pit stops. I can confirm that is correct. So, and seen him facing the wrong way a couple of times, and has had a few scraps with Mr. Krumpush, who of course is out of this race. But holding on to a point for the time being, and to be honest, if he wasn't already out of the title contention, I think this race will certainly do the rest if he finishes behind IndyCar. As things stand, they're 18 points. IndyCar will gain, and with one only on offer for the time being for Alex, I think his title challenge will truly be over if it wasn't already, which, to be fair, 60 odd points behind, not impossible, but not probable or likely, given that there's another car close to the title contention. And is Alex heading into the pits now himself for a 3rd stop? I believe it is. So he was consigned to losing that place regardless, and now he'll come in and he'll feed out somewhere between Howitzer and Daziak, the 2 Williams. So see how that ends up. Meanwhile, Ant has been doing some catching of Bill, of course Bill on old softs, and is closed up right up to the back of the other Haas. Of course, we just left Alex heading into the pits, and now surely within the next half a sector or two we'll see Ant then move up into 5th place. He needs every point he can get, does Ant, after that mistake has cost him a lot of ground. And at the moment he would only be losing 8 points on IndyCar as it stands, but if he gets his overtake done, he'll be only losing 8 points. He'll lose a bit more if he finishes lower than that, and so it's so important that he minimises the damage done here today, because it looks like, as things stand, that IndyCar is going to finish ahead of Ant. And should IndyCar finish ahead of Charlotte somehow for whatever reason, that would be disastrous for